Navigating female friendships is one of the weirdest things that has ever happened because growing up, there was always girl fight, this, girl fight that. And a lot of people have looked down on female friendships. So today we're going to navigate how to navigate female friendships when Hello and welcome to Future Husband Diaries. If you have been journaling with us, if you have been praying with us, if you have been healing with us, welcome home. And I hope that you've been having a great time wherever you are. If you're new to the platform, like, subscribe, share it with a girl that you think will benefit from all of this, and let us grow and heal together in Christ. But before we start, let's have a moment of prayer. Our Father art in heaven, thank you for the day you've given us today. Help us to fully understand your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. A lot of people, when they're going to premarital counseling, the only thing that they tell you is if you have female friends, you should cut them off. But is this something that is wise for you to do? For you to get into new spaces and get new friendships and get what? And everything in your life changes? Or is it something that will actually make your mind to not really fully understand the new system that you're in? Or should you bring along the friends that you had before so that you can navigate the space that you're in? Or if it so happens that you are the single person in that space, your friends are now married, should you cut them off and go about and look for single friends so that because you're at different seasons in your life, what is it that you should do? This comes about because I've noticed that most of the times you're now getting into your 30s. I'm not getting into my 30s. Most of my friends are now married. They're now changing diapers. They're now changing what? They are at different seasons in their lives. So because I'm not in the same season, should I continue being friends with those people or should I just cut them off? So that is what we are navigating today. Number one, different seasons mean different. It can be different seasons but same relationship. So we have to understand that it might happen that you have been friends with this person, you have been developing a kind of friendship with this person. The kind of friendship that you're talking about, you're not going to be talking about superficial friendships, the kind of friendships that are just based on one aspect in your life. Maybe I'm just friends with this person because we are in the same space. Maybe they are a negative person. Maybe they bring about things that are not positive in my life. No, we're not going to be talking about those kinds of friendships. We are talking about those friendships that are deep and they have a solid foundation. Most of the times when it comes to female friendships with women, we get to have friends maybe for frivolous reasons. You get friends for this, you get friends for that. It is good to have friends like that, but there is some kind of sisterhood that you need to have, the kind of friend that you have that is bringing about the best in you, bringing about positivity in you. That kind of friend is the kind of friend that you'll be talking about. You're talking about that friend where, yes, you might say, this is my closest friend, but they are bringing something into you. They are bringing out the best in you. We tend to look at friendships and look down on them and say, like, okay, I'm just friends with this person just for the specific reason and move on. But you need to develop a kind of friendship with people where you have a deeper understanding, bringing about things that are better in each other, whether it's financial, whether it's social, whether it's what, but holistically, you bring about bigger changes in yourself, you are bringing about positivity into your life. Those are the kinds of friendships that you should be cultivating in your life at this point in your life. Because let's be mature in the kind of friends that we make. You're not going to, it's not really a good thing for you to say, I have 50 friends, but when you're really in deep, when you really need someone, and when you need to share something with, you find that I cannot trust this one, I cannot trust this one. It's better to cut them off and not have friends at all than for you to actually have friends that you do not fully trust in your circle. You need to have a full circle in your life where you actually have that deep connection with them, that they can be there for you, bring about the best in you, pull you up when you're feeling down, and you know, based on Christ, like there is nothing that is better than friends who actually bring you closer to Christ, who actually help you to navigate the spaces that you're in, whether it's professionally, whether it's financially, in every kind of aspects you life, they bring about the best in you. Those are the kind of friendship that you should be cultivating. But it can happen that at some point you enter into different seasons with your friends. Enter into different seasons. They might get married before you actually get married. They might get a job before you actually get a job that you like. They might start a company and it flourishes. Maybe you started your company and it's not flourishing. So because you are at different seasons in your life, should you cut those friends off? So what you need to do is to understand that it's the same relationship but different spaces or different seasons in your life where you are. What I mean is, it might happen that your priorities have changed. Maybe that person has gotten married or that person is married. Before, when you were still friends, when you're still single, it so happens that you could call each other for 5 hours and stay on the phone for 5 hours. And in the middle of the night, you call that person. And what that is how you had developed that kind of friendship that you had. And you could go and sleep over at their place for like 3 4 days. They could come to your place and they can sleep over for 3 4 5 days. You could share and decide at the spur of the moment. We can decide to go on this and splash our money on this. We can go to this branch. We can go to all of these things because at that point maybe you were at the same season. But if it so happens that that season changes and that friend is in a different space, you need to understand that you have different priorities now. Maybe this person is married. If the person is married, you have to understand that their priorities have shifted, but that doesn't mean that you are still not their friend. You just need to understand and navigate the new kind of space that you are in with that person. So, number one, you need to let go of comparison. The reason what makes most of these friendships not last, it is because of comparison. Other people will say, okay, so now you have gotten a husband, you have a child, you have bought a house, you've bought a car, you have a mortgage, with all of those things. We start to have that comparison. I feel like my life is now stagnant because your life seems to be moving and my life seems to be in the same space, because now I start to compare myself, and then I might find myself in a relationship, not because I want to be in a relationship with that person and somehow maybe forcing them to actually marry me or moving into that person with that person, not as a way to gain something out of it, but as a way so that we are at the same level at the same season, because I've compared myself to you and I want to be in the same space and season as you. So I force myself into situations that I'm not ready for. You need to understand and let go of comparison and understand that both of you are in different seasons in your life, but that doesn't nullify your kind of friendship. You might happen that your season, you're growing in this space. I should be happy for you. I should really understand the shifts and the priorities that are there and continue to grow in my space, continue to grow in the kind of space that I'm in, and let it go and not try to compare and force myself into the same kind of season as you, so that we continue to be in the same space. Because most of the times when you are single and you're watching, let's talk about those things. You're like, yes, we'll get married at the same time, we have kids at the same time, our friends will be friends. Yes, that is something that you might be dreaming, but that doesn't mean that because that person has moved on to a different season, you now need to force yourself into moving to that same season so that you continue going at the same pace. They are living their life. Yes, you might be good friends, best of friends, whichever way, but they are moving at a different season in your life, and you are moving in your different season in your life. Their path and your path are not the same path. Do not try to force your path to follow the path of your friend. That is number one. That was what I wanted to say. And then the other thing is, you need to redefine your expectations in those things. Married friends will no longer share the same time, they'll no longer share the same money, they'll no longer share the same priorities the same way. as you do. Maybe you used to go on Sunday brunch every single morning, on Sunday brunch every single week. You go there, you go and have a brunch, and maybe you spend this much money and you have breakfast and what. But then their priorities might be changing now, because now they cannot afford to leave their husband every single Sunday. It might happen that on Sundays, maybe they need to meet their in laws. So, therefore, do not feel bad that they are now saying we cannot have Sunday brunches anymore because I have to be visiting my in-laws, I have to be doing this and that. You need to be able to understand that because they're now in this season in their lives, their priorities and their schedule, their time, their money, the way they spend most of their things, it will need to change so as to accommodate the new season that they are in their life. Do not try to force yourself and move into that season and make them feel bad over the new season that they're in. So, like, yes, you're no longer the same person. No, you need to understand that their expectations shift. So, you need to also have a different kind of expectation from them. Understand that they are in a different space and therefore navigate it in a different way. So, set up different boundaries for yourself. Maybe you used to call each other for 5 hours. Understand that you cannot call maybe after 9 p.m. because now they are with their husband. Maybe shift, you call each other during lunchtime. You understand that we cannot meet on Sundays because maybe on Sundays you have family brunch now. So we can shift and have, instead of having the 3 hour that we used to have, now we can have a 30 minutes maybe on Tuesday at lunch, and that just meet and check up on each other. That can be what. It can happen that maybe they are having a child at that time. Maybe their season is actually, their schedule is now hectic, they cannot afford to have that. Shift that into maybe not having a face to face, maybe having in such a way that you actually call each other. Have that kind of understanding that because of the shift that they are in, you need to be able to shift your kind of schedule again at the same time. Understand that your best friend got a best friend for life. Oh, I love the song. That's the song. I don't even know who sang the song. Maybe I should really look it up. It says, "My best friend found a best friend for life," right? So when you are now looking into that, understand the ranking. You were my best friend before, yes, but you are married. Now I understand. It's sort of like I have moved a ranking down. The way I want to look at it is in terms of the royal family. The royal family, maybe you might be second in line, or you might be third. Let's just say you might be third in line for the crown, right? Then the first person who is the second person who is in line has a child. What is it that happens to you? You drop in ranking. You're no longer number three. You're now number four. That's what happens, right? You need to fully understand that that is the same thing as when your best friend gets a best friend for life. In such a way that yes, you might be a best friend, but you're no longer the first best friend that I have in their lives. Because number one, their priority is now the guy that they are in, the time that they share, the money, the secrets that they share. They no longer come to you. They now come to that other person. Doesn't mean that you have been dropped out of the royal family. No, it just means you have shifted down in terms of ranking. Understand that, therefore, because they made a vow for life with this person, you guys are just friends, right? But then this person, they made a vow with them. So therefore, their priority should be more on that person. They will share their secrets more, they'll share their time more. There are some things, especially when it comes to their marriage, that they will not share with you. Maybe when those two were in a relationship, this girl used to confide in you over some things that the guy was doing. Yes, but once they have the vow, it's no longer the same. It's no longer the same. There are some things, there are some secrets that this girl cannot share with you. You need to fully understand that. But do not take it as a way to say they are choosing them over you. No, it's not a competition when it comes to friendship. Friendships, relationships is not about you know choosing this one over that one. We need to understand the ranking that we're in, the priorities that the person has, and therefore fully understand that I am not the first priority that you used to have in your life, But I understand now I'm number two or now I'm number three, depending on whether you have children or you do not have children, right? So therefore, it doesn't mean that you are losing me totally. It just means that there are some things that you cannot share with me. So now, what is it that you should do? I understand they might be keeping you at an arm's length. You also should be doing the same thing. The reason is, if you try by all means to compare yourself and let them choose their husband over you, obviously they will choose their husband over you because they better bow to this person. Doesn't matter whether you guys have been having a 10-year friendship and these people dated for 1 year, it does not matter. It's not about the number of years that you guys had. It's not about the experience. It's not about what. It's about the season and the time that they are in at that point. You need to understand that. Therefore, I will advise that if it so happens that you are friends with someone who's married, understand that their priorities, their changes, their what, all of those things, they are now prioritizing that person over you. Doesn't mean that they do not like you, they do not love you. It's not that they're gonna break you or what. You need to understand that that is how the dynamics have shifted at that point. I would therefore advise you at this point to actually get more single friends. I'm not saying ditch this one, no. Get more friends, single friends, or other people who are in the same space or same season as you, so as to make sure that you are not solely relying on this person only. You'll be like, okay, this is my best friend, my best friend for life, you're my ride or die. Yes, you're my ride or die. You'll be with me throughout and everything. Yes, but I need to be able, if maybe it so happens that my Sundays were for friends, now you cannot afford, I can get new friends that can somehow supplement and be with throughout that time, so that I do not have to be constantly pestering you for that time and the effort so that you ditch your husband and come back to me. So therefore, you need to have that. You also need to fully understand that it's okay for that person to actually prioritize them for a certain time and then come back. You know how it is. Maybe they have this whole honeymoon phase where in like 6 months it's all quiet and that person is not talking to you, is not calling you, is not meeting you. Why? Because they are saying that they are busy. You need to fully understand that. Maybe it so happens that their schedule now is sort of like very busy. They'll be like, okay, I can, if you're like, okay, let's meet up. Like, oh, I'm only free in 2 months from now. Be able to fully understand that their priorities at that point have changed. Therefore, make sure that you do not take offense in that. They are not choosing themselves. They're not choosing that person over you. You need to understand the fact. The fact is they've made a vow to this person. They did not make a vow to you. You are best friends, you wife. Yes, they are living with this person. They fully need to understand this person. They need to have dynamics. It's sort of like no longer her, but it's no, they are now a we. Yes, they are now a we. Parents saying is they are now one entity with the person. And I would therefore advise that you actually befriend even the guy, so that it becomes actually easier for you to navigate, that they are one person in such a way that you are best friends with the girl, be actually friends with the guy also, so that at the end of the day, maybe you might have that connection that you still have. You cannot say because they're now a we, I'm still not friends with the guy, I'm going to be friends with the girl only. That is going to have problems with you in the long run, because this person are just one now. All they're thinking, all they're what they're going to discuss it, all the things that they're going to do, they're going to discuss it. If it so happens that the guy doesn't like you as a friend, you might find that your friend will not like you in the end. Because think of it like this, they're just now one person. Yes, there are two people with two brains, but they are one person. Everything that they're doing, they're navigating finances together, they are but everything that they're doing, they're now doing it together. So befriend the guy, befriend you, but know and understand them, that they are now a them, they're no longer an I. They are now two in one. So understand that you have gained, you've also, yes, your best friend got a best friend for life, but you also gained another friend. Look at it in that aspect so that you can be able to fully understand that. I'm not saying that you need to be very good, like best friends with the guy, spend more time. No, but what I'm saying is understand where they're coming from. That they're now no longer an I, but now a we, so that you can be able to understand that. So you need to understand that sometimes it's their adjustment period, right? if it so happens, as I was saying, that maybe they did not communicate with you for like 6 months, understand that is their time for adjustment. It's not a rejection on you to say when you're calling them, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. No, it's their adjustment time. Because think about this girl. Maybe this girl hasn't been living with this guy, he has never lived with this guy before. They're starting to live together. They need to understand and adjust how they're going to navigate their whole lives together, how they're going to navigate. This girl used to have one full bed for herself. Now she needs to understand that she has her own side of the bed. The guy has his own side of the bed. They need to adjust and understand each other so that they can live together. They need that adjustment period. So you need to be able to understand that their adjustment period is not a rejection on you, that is for them to fully understand who they are when they are together, so that they can be able to come back into the world and live together. So you need to understand facts over feelings. You might be feeling left out. Yes, we understand that. But that doesn't mean that they are rejecting you. So what you do is you need to, as I was saying, find other friends so as to make sure that you are not feeling lonely. Have other spaces, fill your life with other things. Understand that, yeah, your friend is in an adjustment period. So the other thing you need to remember is that friendship requires effort from both sides. You cannot say, your friend, you're going to call your friend, you are the one who's initiating, and your friend is not reciprocating. Tell them how this makes you feel. But if it so happens that your friend is telling you, like, okay, I understand we've been friends for some time, but I cannot adjust you into my life. Understand that, yes, therefore your friend, you can become acquaintances, you can be downgraded from friends to acquaintances, where you just call each other regularly just to check on each other and understand that, okay, maybe that friendship cannot continue in the season that she is in. But if it so happens that maybe you both want to keep this friendship, therefore understand that it requires efforts on both sides in such a way that you, I don't know, you go, you visit, you babysit their children, whatever needs be, you put an effort, they put an effort, so that as to maintain that relationship or that space that you're in. Most of the times we tend to neglect friendships and hope that at some point they'll actually wake up from the dead and they'll rise up. They will not be able to do that. Think of friendship like it's a flower. Okay, yes, it's a flower, or a plant. You know, when it comes to plants, what is it that you need to do? You need to cultivate it. You need to water it. You need to make sure that it's all of that. It has different kinds of needs. Think of it like this. When you are farming, we used to we used to have like green vegetables in my house when we were growing up. I didn't like them at all, because when it's summer, or when we were in different seasons, we used to do a lot of different things, right? When it's in summer, because it's really hot in Africa. When it's really hot, the thing is you needed to make sure that it's either you water them, depending on how hot it is. You might need to water them twice. What I'm saying is, if it's in the summer, you might need to water in the morning, you might need to water in the evening, because they might wilt because of how hot it is. You need to be able to cultivate so that the water comes in and all of that. But when it's in the rainy season, you do not water it, because water is already coming from the rain, and what it already has a lot of water. But in order for the plants to actually survive and not be killed by the lot of rain that needs to come, you need to cultivate, open up pores so that the water can seep in and go into the ground. And when it's winter, you needed to put bottles around so as to make sure that you protect it from frost, you protect it from the cold, you protect it from that. Think of friendship like that. Because of different seasons, there are some things that you need to do depending on the seasons that you're in. If it so happens that it's in your summer season, you are in the summer season with your friend, it's really hot, it's really tough, maybe meeting each other is really, really hard. For you to actually make a schedule and say we are meeting at this time, it's really hard. You need to make double the effort. As I was saying, you water in the morning, you water in the evening. You need to make double the effort so as to make sure that you do not wilt, so as to make sure that that plant survives. But if it's in the rainy seasons where a lot of it is coming and a lot of it is coming, you just need to cultivate so as to make sure that the water doesn't make the plant to be overwhelmed with the water that it has. So you need to make sure that the water goes and sits down. So it's also in the same way where you actually say, okay, because now it's in the rainy season, because now we are meeting so much, we are what, maybe we're staying close to each other, but you need to navigate how it doesn't become too much in your spaces, but it becomes right enough so that you do not kill each other in the process, because there is such a thing as being too much. Right? There isn't something, yes, you might be friends and very good friends with them, but there is something that it might be a little bit too much. And then when it's in the winter, when it's in the scarcity, when it's in the what, you need to make sure that you cover it up and protect it from the wind, protect it from all the things that might be coming from external. So now what is it? If it so happens maybe you do not have time to meet, your schedules are conflicting and all, you need to be able to do something so as to make sure that you cover it up, and therefore the plant will survive the winter season that you're in. So happens that maybe you have conflicts, you have what, you need to make sure that you cover it up, you do all the things so as to make sure that your friendship survives in that. If it needs that there is some pruning that needs to happen so that there are not a lot of leaves, that not a lot of food has to be lost out, so that the roots are the ones that we are preserving. If it so happens that maybe you need to make sure that you just a phone call a month, you call this person, you have like 1 month's connection, just to make sure that the roots are the ones which are surviving. But at some point, when our schedules are not conflicting, we'll go back. It might be summer again. We might be what we might be able to do all of those things. There are some things that you need to navigate in that space. So what you need to do is understand the season and understand the right kind of equipment, the right kind of pressure, the right kind of things you need to do so as to make sure that that plant, that friendship plant that you're growing together actually needs to survive. And as I was saying, you do not grow that friendship plant on your own. You need to be a two-way street. It is and that's is a what it's not really like transactional as exactly, but what I'm saying is it has to be a two-way street in such a way that there's some kind of effort you put in, that person also has some kind of effort that you put in, so that at the end of the day you all grow together. Otherwise you will be misaligned, some kind of misalignment, then it might happen that it will not survive. So understand both sides, whatever is required at that point. So what you still need to understand, yes, you might be in different seasons, but what you bring to the table actually matters. You are unique in your own kind of space, because you are not married or the other person is married. There's something that they are bringing in. Maybe they are bringing you, you are a single person, that person is married, right? They are bringing you a perspective that you have maybe never really thought about, in such a way that it will help you maybe when you are now getting into the same season, or it might give you the perspective so that you live your life in a different way. They are now giving you maybe motherly advice, they're now giving you, there are some things because of the space that they're in. That uniqueness, you need to understand your uniqueness and not try to imitate what the other person brings. So understand that you have your voice, your wisdom, your what, it really matters to that person, and also their wisdom, their voice also matters to you, because they're still the same friend, even though they're in the same linear differences in the lessons that they are learning there, they can be actually brought into you and actually help you in your life. So what you need to do is to understand that you're growing and not grieving friendship. So letting the friendship evolve. Do not try to force your friendship to be something that, maybe at this point is not fitting into this mold. Do not try to squeeze it into making it into a circle when maybe it wants to be a square. Let it evolve into whatever it wants to be. If it wants to be a square at that time, let it be a square. If it evolves into this kind of space, that kind of space, so that you can fully understand where you are, let it be in that way. Let it evolve, understand it, grow it in that way. You will understand that you will be friends throughout your life, because this season, them being married and not you being, is not the only different kind of seasons that you enter in your life. There are so many different aspects that you enter in your life, but you need to understand and navigate and evolve and mature together so that you can be able to grow together. And the other thing is, you need to have like a faith reflection. As long as you guys still have the foundation that actually brought you closer together, pray for each other, understand each other, and let God do all the evolving that needs to happen. If it so happens that maybe, for example, when it comes to church, you're now not in different classes, you are still in the single classes, and that one is now in the newly married classes, it doesn't mean that your friendship is ending. It just means that your friendship is evolving. But make sure that God is leading you and your faith is leading you throughout all of this. Because for example, when we are now looking into the kind of friendship spaces that people are in, we need to learn from what Christ was like, in such a way that he had different kinds of friends were different in their own, who were different in their own seasons. He had friends who had been tax collectors before, and Christ had never been a tax collector before. He had friends who were in different spaces and all of this, but he understood, and they were all able to grow together and still become friends in their different seasons. But that is how we need to learn. We need to understand that our faith in our God is still the same. Nothing changes. We're just in different seasons. We need to let it evolve and let it grow to be the kind of friends that you have. Because the other thing is, I've been told so many times, keep your married friends at arm's length. You can't be friends with this and yes. If the husband doesn't like you, you might need to move on from that friendship and get a different person. Because I've had it in such a way where I was friends with someone, and the husband was like, no, you can be friends with single people, leave that person alone. And that person, actually, we let it go and let it filter out, because that is how it was supposed to be, because I understood that that person and that person are one, therefore I cannot come in between them. So I'm not saying like keep your friends who are married at arm's length, no, but keep that distance. Yes, understand uh, the things that might be there, the dynamics that might be there. Maybe not keep them at arm's length as such, maybe at a half arm's length. Yes, understand that there are some things that are a little bit different. So navigate your own season in your own way and understand that things might be shifting, but they might still be the greatest supporter that you have, as long as your friendship before was built on Christ and your friendship was in the greatest space that was in. So that's all that I had for you today, and I hope that you share with that girl that you have been friends with, who's now married, or you started becoming friends when that person was already married, but now it was hard for you guys to navigate the kind of space so that you fully understand whether you should continue being friends in this aspect or what, so that you fully understand. Let it evolve, but understand that you're not the top priority that a friend has in their life. So that's all that I had for you today. Like, subscribe, share to the other person or a woman that you think would benefit, and let us build our strong friendships that are there, that are based on Christ and everything else. So that's all that I had. Like, subscribe, share with someone. Bye.